Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my first impressions look on Kyrie Irving's brand new budget hoop shoe with Anta, right? So of course we got the Kai 1, which is a signature shoe, and then we got the Kai 1 Speed, which is of course supposed to be for a little bit more speed, someone who wants to be a little bit more agile, and someone who wants like a lighter and more minimal shoe with better court feel. But now we got the Kai 1 Team, which is the budget shoe. This shoe actually retails for $100. The Kai 1 and the Kai 1 Team retails for $125. So $25 price decrease. That's actually a good amount of money. So yeah, I actually got it on Dick's Sporting Goods, but it's also available on Anta.com. So if you guys do want to cop, I try to leave in the affiliate link in the description box. They actually have a good amount of colorways, and I really like the yellow colorway as well. But I actually ended up getting this one, this like maroon colorway, which actually looks really good as well. So yeah, affiliate link will be in the description box, but let's get it started right off with the Traction. So as far as the rubber goes, they're saying it is a very durable rubber. So we'll have to see on how durable it is, but it doesn't feel super durable, right? There are some really thin spots on this outsole, right? So as far as the color goes, we have like a rubber pod here in the forefoot, which is this darker like burgundy color. And then for the rest of the outsole, we have this kind of like red color, right? And yeah, like I said, we do have some thinner parts. So when I try to move it with my finger, it does move pretty easily. So I feel like it wouldn't be super durable on those parts, but there are some also really thick parts on the outsole as well, especially here in this pod. So I feel like it'll be pretty good on the outdoor court. Just be careful with the thinner parts, right? And of course, I just got them in today, and how does the traction feel? It feels actually pretty dang good. Just on my wood floors, the bite seems to be really nice. So for my first impressions, the bite seems really good, which I do like, of course. That's always a really good and positive sign. And also, it doesn't squeak that much. There's a little bit of a squeak, but of course, that has nothing to do with performance, and of course, it kind of reminds you of like the Kai 1. You know what I mean? The Kai 1, I feel like is a little bit quieter, but again, like the Kai 1, when I first got it, it had zero squeak. Then once I broke it in and I kept playing it got a little bit squeakier, but not super squeaky. And the Kai 1 Team feels pretty much the exact same. There's not that much squeak right now, maybe a little bit squeakier than when I first got the Kai 1. But yeah, I feel like probably it'll get a little bit squeakier once I break it in. Again, that has nothing to do with performance, but if you do like to have a very loud squeak, this shoe doesn't have that much of a squeak. But of course, for the dust performance, yeah, I mean, I guess I got a vacuum. But yeah, I don't know if it's coming out on camera, right? But there is a good amount of dust. Look at all that dog hair. Look at all that dog hair and dust, right? So we'll have to see on the dust performance. I mean, I was trying it on my wood floors, and you know, like I said, with all this dust, it was sticking pretty well, even though it was sliding just a tiny bit. So yeah, of course, we'll have to see on dust performance, like once I break it in, how much dust does it pick up, how well does it bite through dust, and how quickly does it pick up dust. I'm gonna need to test all of that out, but right now, just on my wood floors, it seems like it's biting through dust pretty well, which surprised me, right? So yeah, the traction is feeling pretty dang good, and the pattern also looks pretty interesting as well, right? So there is a traction there. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, it actually feels very smooth, right? So here in the heel, we have a little bit of a curve shape, but also a fully exposed foam, right? And they don't specify what this foam is, but when you press it with your finger and also you have it on foot, it actually is pretty dang soft. So here in the heel, it feels very smooth. And then here in the forefoot, we have a nice curve shape, you know, very similar to pretty much every single basketball shoe, and also pretty much any normal modern hoop shoe, right? So that feels very nice just from the overall shape. And then we have a lot of forefoot flex. It has a little bit of a springiness to it. You know, it's not super springy like, you know, if it had a full length carbon fiber plate like the WOW 11 or like the GT Cut 3 or the AR2. But it actually has a little bit of a springiness to it, which I do like. It also has good torsion support. You know, it doesn't really bend here in the midfoot. And obviously you can see the plate, right? This is plastic piece. It's on the lateral as well as on the medial side. So I'm guessing there is a plate here. It also is exposed here on the bottom of the shoe in the midfoot area as well. So it seems like torsional support will be good. And now moving on to the cushioning setup. So the team version, right? They are cutting back on, you know, tech a little bit. So of course, with the Kai 1 and the Kai 1 Speed, they are using full length N2 foam. Here in this shoe, they don't specify what the foam is, right? On the medial side, it actually has some Chinese, and then it says Pro. So I'm guessing it's like the pro version of a different foam that Anta has. But either way, on their website as well as on Dick's Sporting Goods, it says full palm rebound midsole. right? So I'm guessing they're trying to say, you know, has a little bit of bounce. But yeah, like I said, when you feel it with your finger, it's actually pretty dang soft. And then also there is a nice bit of compression here in the heel, which does feel great. However, it has a lot of court feel, right? Which is good, you know, a great court feel. You feel very low to the ground. However, because of that, the foam is on the thinner side of things. So we'll have to see on how good the impact protection is. Of course, it doesn't seem as good as, you know, like the Kai 1 and the Kai 1 Speed, but also the Kai 1 and the Kai 1 Speed have a little bit worse court feel. It's a little bit higher up off the ground than the team. So yeah, I'm guessing they wanted something very, very low to the ground, I guess, right? Also for the step-in comfort, the step-in comfort is actually pretty nice. So I would say the insole adds a good amount to the step-in comfort. It's actually quite thick and it's actually really soft as well. But of course, as you guys all know, insoles do bottom out. So we'll have to see on that. But then underneath, the struggle board is actually like a little stiff, you know what I mean? So I'm not a huge fan of that, especially comparing to like the Kai 1 Speed. The Kai 1 Speed, even though it is using like a more traditional struggle board, it feels a little bit softer even when you have it on foot, also when you're pressing with your finger. The team feels a little bit stiffer, not super stiff. It doesn't feel like extremely glued down and like rock solid, but it does feel a lot stiffer than the Kai 1 and the Kai 1 Speed. So the step-in comfort is nice because of the insole, but underfoot cushion feels a little bit stiffer, and also because the foam is thinner, and also probably because it's not using N2 foam. You know what I mean? This whatever foam they're using is, like I said, it is nice. You know, there is a little bit of compression, but it doesn't feel super bouncy right now, and doesn't feel the best in terms of comfort and compression goes right now. But I guess the plus is the better court feel, right? And now moving on to the upper, so they're using a textile mesh, and for $100, it's actually not that bad. Actually, for $100 is great. You know what I mean? So the quality of the material actually doesn't really feel cheap at all, right? I guess, you know, this synthetic material that they're using on the medial side here in the toe box, and it kind of extends here into the midfoot, that feels kind of cheap. You know what I mean? And I guess like the synthetic overlays that they're using here in the heel as well are a little bit cheap, but the main material that they're using, like this textile mesh, actually isn't that bad. It doesn't feel super cheap. It actually feels pretty nice. Overall, it is really thin too, right? But then where this part is, it adds a little bit more structural support. It's a little bit stiffer here. And also, as you guys can see, here on top of the toe box, it's really thin. You know, it's not glued down at all. But then on the like outside part of the toe box, we have an underlaying material, it seems like, and that stiffens up the material a little bit and adds a little bit more support, of course. But yeah, there's no pinching. You know, overall it does feel pretty supportive as well. It feels nice on foot. It conforms to my foot very well too. So yeah, here in the toe box, it actually feels really nice, especially for only $100. Around the eyelets, we have a synthetic overlay. It's not a super stiff material, but actually adds a little bit to the structural rigidity as well, which I do like. And also another thing that I like is the overlay on the textile mesh as well, with this kind of like black colored material. That'll add for a little bit more support, as well as improve the durability a little bit as well. In the midfoot area, on the lateral side of the shoe, we have this kind of like plastic material, and of course that's there for a little bit more lateral support. And then for the tongue, we have actually like this pretty open mesh material, right? But then on top, we actually have a little bit of padding, which does feel pretty nice and cozy on top of your foot. We also have Kyrie Irving's brand new logo with Anta. And also it's a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. And then here in the ankle area, we actually have Achilles pads, right? So I guess Kyrie just really likes Achilles pads, because in every single one of his shoes from Anta, they've had Achilles pads, right? So, but yeah, it feels really nice and cozy in the back of the shoe. Also, it improves the heel lockdown too. So yeah, the overall material, even only for $100, feels great on foot. So I am a big fan of the material. Also here in the back of the heel, we got this plastic piece with Kyrie Irving's logo as well. And now moving on to the fit, I went true to size, and this shoe fits me extremely well. I would say it's slightly narrow, and just a tiny bit narrower than like the Kai 1, but it's not that big of a difference. Like my ring toe is being smushed just a tiny bit, like right over here. You know what I mean? But again, it's not terrible or anything. It's just being smushed just a tiny bit, you know? So it's a little bit of discomfort, but there's no pain, right? Lengthwise, going true to size is good for me. And here in the toe box, we have a nice snug fit. Not super snug, but also not super roomy. I would say it's like a slightly more snug than like an average fit, you know what I mean? So that does feel nice. We'll have to see on if this textile mesh, you know, kind of like stretches out and gets a little bit roomier. But overall, right now, it's a nice snug fit for me. And I do like it going true to size. So for most people, you should be fine going true to size. And if you have a wide foot, probably go up half a size and you should be fine, right? Now moving on to the support and lockdown. So for lateral containment, this shoe feels like it'll be pretty dang good, right? So as far as the forefoot goes, not a whole lot going on. I guess the foam kind of comes up here in the forefoot just a tiny bit, but here in the midfoot we have this plastic piece. It's not super stiff, but it adds a little bit of support there, right? And then here in the heel we have an internal TPU heel counter, feels very supportive. So lateral containment feels like it's gonna be good. Of course, it better be good because it's Kyrie's shoe. I mean, I wonder if Kyrie's gonna be playing this though. You know what I mean? I mean, he played in the Speed a lot, and he also obviously the Kai 1. But yeah, this is the Kai 1 team. It's like the budget shoe, so I wonder if he's actually gonna be playing in it. But you know, he was playing the other shoe. It's probably like the Kai 2. But anyways, yeah. So lateral containment feels like it'll be good, and also lateral stability. I mean, you are super low to the ground here in the toe box. You have a pretty wide base too, so it feels very, you know, stable. And then as far as the outsole curvature goes, there's not really an outsole curvature. It's actually pretty edged out as far as the shape goes here on the medial side of the shoe here in the forefoot. So you don't get that, you know, patented kind of like Kyrie feel. You know what I mean? Like from the Nike Kyrie's, like the Kyrie, starting from the Kyrie 2, which I absolutely love. The 2, 3, and 4 had an amazing outsole curvature. And then starting from like the 5, 6, and on, they made it a little bit more flat, which I'm not a huge fan of. You know, I still like it because it's curved, but it doesn't have as much of an indented shape as like the earlier Kyrie's. But obviously here in this shoe, it's pretty much flat. You know, I guess the rubber comes up, you know, on the medial side, so I guess you get better grip when you're doing these types of movements, but it's not curved really at all, right? So there is the support and lockdown there. Moving on to the weight of the shoe. So this shoe feels really light, right? The upper very minimal. Also the foam doesn't feel like super high density, you know what I mean? Also, like I said, the foam feels really thin, so I'm guessing it's around like 11-12 ounces. Yeah, 11.55 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 11.55 ounces. So the average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces, so that's around an ounce lighter than average. And yeah, this shoe feels really lightweight and also extremely low to the ground. And if the traction is good, this is gonna be an amazing guard shoe. But of course, we'll have to see on how good the cushion is, right? Is it gonna be bouncy? Is it gonna be good for impact protection? Is the underfoot cushion gonna get softer and better? We have yet to see on that. Moving on to the aesthetics, I actually really love the design. And they actually got a lot of design cues from the Kyrie 1. Right, obviously we got the teeth. I mean, the teeth marks are on the actual foam, which is kind of weird. But then on the medial side, we have this design. You know, reminding me a lot of the Kyrie 1 actually, and it kind of, you know, just like the Kyrie 1, we have that teeth design on the actual outsole. And of course, we have the Anta logo here on the lateral side. But yeah, it's just a really cool looking shoe in my personal opinion. And I don't think it's as crazy as, like, you know, like the Kai 1 and the Kai 1 Speed. It's more of like a simple design besides this design on the upper, but with this darker color, it's kind of harder to notice. And so I actually really like the design. Tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, yeah, it feels pretty dang nice so far for $100, right? And if it does get better, it'll be an amazing performer, but again, we'll have to see on that. But as far as my first impressions look goes, it definitely does feel like a takedown model. Comparing it to the actual signature shoe, which that makes sense, it's supposed to, you know what I mean? But I do love the competitive price point that this shoe has, right? But anyways, that about concludes my first impressions look on the Anta Kai 1 team. Again, if you guys do want to cop a try to leave in the free link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.